Hello and welcome to the Xtra Edge, a sports analytics podcast powered by KINEXON Sports. Please like and subscribe on any and all of the platforms you prefer to listen to our podcast. My name is Michael Elmer, and today we're talking with Quirin Sönlein, Head of Performance at Lausanne Hockey Club. Thank you for taking some time to join us on the Xtra Edge.
Hey, nice to have me. And I'm looking forward to this talk.
Cool. Quirin, you have a vast amount of experience in hockey as a performance coach, data analyst, and you've worked with player tracking systems in soccer and in ice hockey for a while now. On this podcast, we talk about how coaches collect data, then use it to get insights and take action. Or, in other words, data, insights, and action. So let's talk about data first. Can you may start by giving us a brief introduction into your career in sports data, analytics, and strength and conditioning?
Yes. So again, thanks for having me. I had the chance to, during my master degrees in sports science, I had the chance to be recruited by Red Bull. So I started early working for the Red Bull company for different entities. And Red Bull is a very technology, data-driven company where eventually you're going to touch data and you have to work with it. In 2013, they bought a ice hockey club in Munich, and I had the chance to really start working with LPS systems there, and to be one of the first clubs, I think, in Germany to be in touch with this type of tracking or event data.
Cool. Which data points you have experienced back in the days when you worked at Munich?
In Munich, we started to work with LPM and Mozio. That's a Dutch company that was kind of, I think, the groundbreakers for indoor LPS analytics. That are quite good tool. I think they still have a good tool. And we were able to play with the data back then. We were able to start looking into things in 2013. And I think we were the first ones to do that in ice hockey properly, together with other Red Bull entities, obviously. But that's how it was. The data, or back then in 2013, the whole how do I start to analyze data and so on and so forth for people from sports science or from this background was not really established yet. Mm-hmm. But I think it was a cool time to explore and to evolve and be part of the evolution.
Awesome. And after a time in Munich, how was your work with data then?
After Munich, during the time in Munich, I still your company KINEXON was founded back then in 2014, and KINEXON is the evolution of multiple LPS systems, I reckon. Right now we are KINEXON users, so it's easy to say that, but I was always during my time, I was always looking forward to work with KINEXON because of the evolutionary step you guys took from Emotio and then back to KINEXON.
You've mentioned the evolution with sports data in general. How did your career evolve with the advent of sports data and analytics, or what inspired you to get into this field?
Eventually, it's like for all of us, when you watch a team sports event or even like an individual sports event, I have an issue to not be too rational. I don't like the referee, for instance, so I will always be mad at the referee for some sort of decision. So I am emotionally biased in my judgment of the game, and the data kind of helps you to de-emotionalize the game and be more rational, either during the game or after the game. And that's essentially, this was the for me the rate, not the rate limiting step, but the step that I said, okay, I need to have data to have more insight and to have the chance, since I was not a hockey a professional hockey player myself to start to understand their sport. So one thing was the de-emotionalization, and the other thing was to actually understand their performance, because I was not a professional hockey player myself. And by time you get more data and more data and more data, you go down the rabbit hole that many of my colleagues probably still are in and still are on in this hole. And yeah, that's how I got into this field. Really to get to work with data, like not just descriptive statistics, but actually start to build statistical models was when I started my PhD. That's where I had to do big data and analytics. So I automatically was exposed to data, different type of data. But that's where I got really exposed to statistical models. And ever since, I'm trying to use them.
I'm very fortunate to support you at Lausanne Hockey Club with my experience and being there for you with kind of the best support we try to deliver. And you've been working with our technology for a while now. What drew you to those systems initially, and how have they impact your work at all?
I think for those who mix up GPS and LPS, so we maybe not our field, but people or coaches, they think, okay, you can do GPS tracking indoor. You can't, because the roof is closed. You have no satellite connection, right? So you need a sort of local positioning system, and then you have a market for it. You have a couple of providers. You have KINEXON, you have Catapult, you have Emotio, and since I knew the evolution of KINEXON and a bit the downsides of other systems, I pushed for our club to sign with KINEXON and get the tracking system on. In our stadium, it was it took us 2 years to get the system because there was not enough cabling under the roof, so it was actually quite costly to get the system. But we are using the system also from a marketing perspective. That means we sell data points to sponsors. And like this, we try to create some sort of revenue next to it in order to justify the system. So I think many of my colleagues and also myself, eventually, you ask the club to make a big investment into technology, and the first thing they're going to tell you is, no, that's too much money. So if you find a smart way to show them, okay, actually your system can create some revenue and the benefit of player tracking and having event data and drawing conclusions about your performance, it's a win-win for both sides. And with the KINEXON integrations that we have, it works really nice.
Oh, and you and the club, you're very innovative when it comes to implementing tracking solutions. For all the listeners out there, Lausanne Hockey Club, they have 2 LPS systems installed in their facility. There's one system at the main arena, and they have a second LPS system in the practice facility within the same building. Let's talk about data usage, and especially within the collaboration with the coaching stuff. So you track every practice, you track every home game. What is the motivation behind this, and how do you collaborate with the coaches regarding the tracking data?
So why do we track data? One is, like I mentioned earlier, to rationalize our performance and actually to understand it. And then we try to track every data or every practice that we have from under 20 all the way, from under 17 all the way up to our professional team. Why do we do those age groups? We want to see the evolution of players, and we want to see where those players have to get eventually. And since we started tracking, I think it's our 3rd year now, we have quite a bit of data that we can rely on and see the pathway, or define the pathway of players in terms of their physical exposure they need to be able to get to. How do we use it around the coaching staff or the professional coaches? I think it really depends on the coach. You'll have coaches that don't trust data because they think the data is replacing their job or their judgment. It's a bit similar to similar issues you face when you work with artificial intelligence or AI. They will not replace our jobs. They just help you to rationalize the performance. And also coaches, although they don't want to hear that always, they make emotional and non-rational judgments after games very quickly, unfortunately. The very good coaches, they are aware of this bias and they prevent themselves of doing this.
Yeah.
But those coaches, if you have a coach like this who is aware of his own bias, luckily we have one like this, Jeff Ward. He's very, very easy to work with, and honestly, with him, there's not much exchange in data analytics going on. That means he's such a good coach that he intuitively, one with his vast experience, but also intuitively throughout a week, he's gonna do the loading accordingly to what I actually would have done as well. So there's a minimal interaction. Whenever they have an issue, I just go to him and say, look, this is the issue. We need to work a bit more into this direction or that direction. He says yes, and he does it. Of course, eventually our job is also, we are here to help. We are here to understand the performance. We're here to help the coaches. And this requires a certain hierarchy. That means the head coach is the boss. That means if he is telling you your data is nice and neat, I'm interested, but today I have to backskate them. I have to really skate them hard or destroy them because yesterday they misbehaved during a league game. Then it is what it is. Then you cannot. The data would tell you not to do it, but you go along anyway because the head coach decides like this. So. Yeah. And this is the second part of it, of data. You need to have the human approach with the guy who's eventually using it. So if you're an idiot and he's an idiot, like you can have as much good data as you want, you will not get any benefit out of it because you guys don't get along.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And when I talk to clients or coaches, I always mention the following fact that a tracking system is a puzzle piece in a very complex environment like team sports is. And I always advise them to never forget the human behind those numbers. I know that you take care of your athletes and you use those numbers with the right knowledge and pretty wise. And I'm pretty happy for you that you have with Geoff and good coach within your team. And I know him from the national team back in the days. And I'm pretty happy for you that you have good communication here and he smells like the load from your practices. Good setup, I would say. Let's talk about the advantages and the challenges of the data that we provide for you and that you use. So from your perspective, what are the primary advantages of using data in sports and especially in coaching?
We are purely talking about physical data right now being tracked by KINEXON or by you guys. We have tactical data that is tracked from multiple angles. That means slowly but surely we get a holistic approach about understanding the performance of our ice hockey athletes. Just like by time, if you spend enough time with data, you realize that there's always something missing. And you have to go a layer deeper and another layer deeper and another layer deeper until you reach rock bottom and you find a solution to your problem. That means you find a technology solution to your problem to get the holistic view, or there's just nothing out there and you have to actually develop it. I think that's pretty much it. we get a lot from the physical part, from the raw KINEXON data for weekly loading, for game loading, to understand if we hit our benchmarks during games. We know if we don't hit those benchmarks, like the minimum threshold for certain things, we know that it's going to be pretty hard to win a game. Now, just because hitting those minimum thresholds doesn't mean you actually win the game, but it's more likely that you will. It's still like, it's not just skating or in football running. It's more than that.
Yeah.
So you have always a factor that you cannot control or account for. And like I said, just having a physical data is not enough. But I think there are a couple of good solutions now that you can actually have a holistic approach in performance analysis.
Yeah. Do you may want to give us a little bit more information? Which data points do you use? Because you mentioned those benchmarks for in-game actions.
I think it's from the KINEXON part, from the data we use from you guys. It's pretty simple. We use the high metabolic power distance as general high intensity volume. I think that's a fair value that gives you a very good insight about the volume you need to generate to perform. And then it's like in any other speed, speed is a decisive factor. So if you don't hit your speed benchmarks, you are less likely to win. Now, you have to like what I say now might not apply for other teams. Like we know how we play. We know our coach by now. It's his third year almost. So we know him. He knows us, and we know how he wants to play. So with him, getting those benchmarks is easy. Now, if we would have a change in coaching, although having in our database for 3 or 4 years now, we probably would look at different benchmarks. So I think your benchmarking has to adapt to the playing style you do, and yeah, I think that's a process you should have. You can't use the same benchmarks for a different coach. Now there are some benchmarks maybe that just indicate generally in the league winning, but we don't have. We don't have a KINEXON league like in handball where you actually could rely on this data and you could find general benchmarks for winning a game or losing a game. We don't have to. We know it for us, but we don't have it league-wide, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunately not. We're working on that to convince more and more teams to work with our technology. There's still something to do. But overall, within your country, there's a positive vibe going on regarding and tracking system in general. Let's stay a little bit more with your data points and which data points you use. Due to the fact that I visit you a couple of times during the last 2.5 years, I know that you're using an AMS tool to process the data a little bit further. I personally think an AMS tool is a very good tool to process not even tracking data, but also data from other providers, and to sum it up within one platform. Could you give us a little bit more insights how you use an AMS tool in your daily work?
So we started to work. At this stage, you got to say that we have I'm lucky to be within an organization that is not. I wouldn't say that we are rich, but people are aware that you need to spend certain money in the technology section to progress and to move on. They understood that. So we can afford to have KINEXON, we can afford to have an AMS platform that is also not cheap. For some clubs, to have both is already a limiting factor. We started to work with Smartabase back then when it was Smartabase. Now it's within the realm of Teamworks. Smartabase is our data hub where we collect all the data we gather. That means we have for our league we have the 14 inning data. That's the league provider who is giving us shot-based metrics, so more tactical insight. We have the KINEXON data that gives us the physical insights, and we have all the other data that we measure with Walt, for instance, all the jumping performance, all the force frame data, any Nordboard data, and so on and so forth. So this is our data hub, and in there we try to sort data and make further analysis.
Oh. Over the years, what significant insights or patterns have you discovered through your analysis of sports data? And we can focus really on the last 2.5 years with LHC, because you have done a lot, and I think your work stands out because you not just do the tracking, you also analyze the data by yourself. You're writing scripts. So what have you discovered, especially through the last 2.5, 3 years, within hockey combined with tracking data?
First, I think writing scripts now becomes more and more normal. That means I think all the good head of performances, performance analytics, sports scientists, or even strength and conditioning coaches, most of them now do their own analytics, meaning they download the raw data, they write scripts for themselves, because they understand that it's important to sort and tackle the data individually by themselves, not pre-customized by the provider you might get the data from. But having this said, the insights and patterns, like I said earlier, like with the rabbit hole, the more time you spend with data, the less you start to know, and the more you start to realize that's not enough. So just having physical data from you, for instance, from KINEXON, is nice and cool to answer certain questions. But eventually we are in the performance business. That means whoever wins is right. And unfortunately, all of us, my job and all the jobs of my colleagues, are rated by winning or losing. In most organizations. So you want to understand how to win, and just by tracking the physical performance is not enough to understand how to win. So you need this holistic approach of having the physical data plus the tactical data to understand your performance. And then you open the realm of having valid and reliable data. The moment you have shitty data, it's the garbage in, garbage out effect. It means you track something that is not really reliable, or the data points are not reliable, then automatically your conclusions are not reliable. So I think the trend probably is now that everyone is using data, or most people, most organizations are using data. They start to work with their own scripts, to really good analytics, deep analytics, and then they try to draw conclusions, and they realize sometimes, okay, the data is not good enough. So I think the next trend will be that the top professional organizations will try to get good, reliable data in order to draw the correct conclusions and not be wrong. Because eventually what's going to happen if I tell the head coach, go left, don't go right, but left is due to unreliable data indicated, and he goes left and we are on a losing streak, or we have bigger issues afterwards, it's my head and also the head coach's head. So this is a sensitive topic, and I think now it's more and more people start to be aware of. This also is because more and more data scientists and people who actually are data specialists work in professional sports, and they make people aware of it. So I think this will be the next bigger thing, that you get high quality data, not only just data, because there's a lot of garbage out there.
Before we make a little outlook into the future, let's stay in the past with one more additional question. You guys did a very good job last season by reaching the finals and making all the way through to Game 7, which enables you to play in the Champions Hockey League this year. So the season preparation is definitely different compared to the year before. How important is the tracking data, especially in context with the Champions Hockey League games for you?
So last year we had a small amount of success. We reached the finals, which we didn't win. So eventually we lost. So no one is happy. But we reached the finals, which was for the club or for the organization a success. But yeah, due to the systematic in ice hockey, you lose 1 or 2 months of training. That means you are late in your off season, and this will be transferred into your preseason starting in August normally. And we knew our benchmarks from last year. We knew what the players could. We had a small turnover in the team, so we got new players. And we tried to hit those benchmarks in a higher percentage than the years before. So we had a more condensed training approach. That means we trained more, but in a smart way, sort of, as to compare the year before. Still, the Champions Hockey League is adding more load in general, and this is something, for instance, we can easily measure with the KINEXON system. And the load right now compared to last year is between 8 and 50% higher already. Okay. So the team, I'd reckon, is probably less fresh than it was last year at the same stage. But at the same time, we managed to pull off more work, more chronic work than we did the year before. So we'll see how this turns out. Again, like if we suck, like if we are at the bottom of the league, like whatever we did, it's not good. But if you can prove somewhat that we can not, I think it's going to be hard to repeat the same success or the same event. You never know, but it's tough to do, especially in the second year. So if we can just have a decent performance the whole year, I think everyone is happy.
Yeah. Wow. Very interesting insights. Outlook into the future a little bit. So what do you feel is still missing in the current landscape of sports data analytics? And if you could imagine an ideal scenario, what would that look like?
What's missing? I think it's, I mean, for ice hockey, it seems that you will get solutions like puck tracking and more dimensional data. By more dimensional, I mean not just shot-based metrics, but you get possession data, good, like reliable possession data. You get shot speeds, you get the amount of slap shots or wrist shots per game. You get like a more holistic approach. You get the position data of players and the goalie data related to the puck. This leaves open for this. You open the box of Pandora for more analytics and more insights. And this is something I look forward to. And it seems that there are solutions in place for ice hockey. In other sports, I don't know, but I think it's easier to get this type of data in other sports because it's not that quick and that fast as ice hockey. And this is what I'm looking forward to have this holistic analytical approach. And I think there's no way around in the future. And then once leagues are establishing certain data levels, that means everyone has access to skating data, everyone has access to puck data or shot-based metrics. It's going to be the organizations themselves that going to decide who's going to win that race or who's going to get the most out of it. Like the better your analysts or analytics are, and the better you can put them into practice, you will be ahead. Yeah. So this will be the race, but I think the current race is to establish that everyone has access to data to have not a fair game, but to draw better conclusions overall. Yeah, and to also increase the kind of a competition inside the league or between teams, so that they have to invest
in smart people like you or data analytic guys to use the data the right way and not just like checking out which player skated the most, who was the fastest guy on the ice. Like really use the data smart way, I would say.
I'm not so smart though, I can tell you.
You are.
No, I'm not, man. I'm not the same idiot that everyone else in this chat.
I know. Because you're that smart and you have a lot of the experience based on working with Red Bull, being in soccer. From your experience, and you have also seen a different type of technologies, different type of providers. What should matter most for teams when choosing and using a tracking system or a data system? Is it more being accurate? Is it more the quality of the support? Is it an easy handling? What matters most for you when it comes to working with a tracking system?
I think it is the accuracy. Like our jobs, if you use data to make decisions, you need to make sure that you have quality data. Or an acceptable level of quality data. Whatever your level of acceptance is, that's up to you. But I think you need to have an acceptable level of reliability in your data. If you don't have that, you might give the wrong consultations to your head coach or to your coaching staff. And if you do this falls back on you.
Yeah.
So I think there's a personal interest in having quality data. Now, is this support important? I don't know. It depends on the needs of yourself and of your club.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know what type of support we have, but I know that like we use, for instance, what we do a lot is sometimes you forget to track a session. This happens because you do 17 other things at the same time. And then you need to call support to get the session recovered. For instance, I know that I would say every 2 weeks I have an email like this to your support team. But yeah, that's what it is. So this is a support that I need or that we need, so we chose it. But like I said, eventually it comes down to a money question. Like we chose good support, we pay for good support.
Yeah.
Sometimes clubs don't have that money, so they just get the hardware to measure data, they get the platform to see the data or the download data, and that's it.
Yeah.
Then they need to find their own solution. So it's not always fair, unfortunately. That's why a league solution in general would be fair for everyone. Like this, everyone gets the same type of data with either the same data error or the same high quality.
Yeah. Absolutely agree. When I was a coach, I was also a big fan of an accurate measurement system and good working video cutting tool because the request is simply too high within professional sports to reduce the quality of any given technology. As we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts or insights you would like to share with our audience or with me?
I don't know, to be honest. No, right now our team is not so like we are not performing to the standard where we want to be. So it's like one of those days, like if it's not going well, or it's not going as, I wouldn't say it's not going well. If it doesn't go as expected, you get easily frustrated. And then for me, always personally, I spent hours looking at data to reassure myself. Yesterday, for instance, we played Champions League against a Norwegian team that we should have won. We didn't win for several reasons. And then afterwards, I don't know how we would say this in English, but the tree was on fire. so no one was happy. And then everyone who works in professional sports, I think also professional businesses, if the outcome is not as expected, you question quickly everything. And that's what happening in sports every day. Like if the moment you don't perform, everything gets questions. Are the players tired? What do you do next to the on ice training? What do you do on the ice? What did you do in the games? What did you change? Like, and ice hockey is for this quite easy because it's hard to say now. I'm not nice to my football friends, but it's a grown-up culture for this. In football and on soccer, it's way more. The coaches are flip-flopping way more frequently. Yeah. One day this, the next day this. So yeah, I know that's the only thing I can share. Like, and then like what I meant to say is that the data gives me personally reassurance. And I can link that also to the coaches. That means we have emotional reactions. We discuss stuff that is correct or incorrect. And then later we sit down and they watch the video. I watch data. They watch data. We watch video together. We talk together. And then normally we find a good solution. Now, will the solution work or not? We don't know. Eventually the coaches are not playing on the ice and I'm not playing on the ice. So we can just find ways of solution to help the team. The team has to decide.
Yeah. As you were mentioning the little link to soccer, in hockey we're fortunate to play at least 2 to 3 times per week, so you can correct the latest game pretty fast. The soccer players they have to wait normally a week, but this gives them also a little bit more time to practice. But I always liked it being in the flow, playing every second game, no matter if we played at home or on the road. I really like the I would say final question because I started coaching with an young age, and you're experienced, and maybe there's some young coaches listening to our podcast. So what advice would you give to young professional coaches who are interested in pursuing a career in professional sports, and especially in sports data and analytics?
I think the biggest thing is human. There are a lot of pretenders. There are a lot of people, thanks to Instagram or other social media platforms, that scream loud and they say, hey, here I am, I do this. There are so many good people in this professional sports world, they don't say a word. And normally those people who are successful, you don't find a lot online, you don't find a lot in the media, they don't share a lot because it is a weapon. So whatever you can create, whether it's, at base I'm a strength and conditioning coach, whatever you can create for your competitive advantage, keep it for yourself. You will not find the real stuff. You don't find it on social media. This is one thing, because young kids now, like when we have interns, they quickly think they know a lot. One thing is there are a lot of resources now available. That means learning something it was never so easy to learn a skill or to learn something specific. But yeah. Try to be honest and direct. That's mostly the best way. Try to be polite. Don't try to f over other people. And try to learn from others. Like I said, okay, like our head coach is not a data scientist or a data analytics guy, but he has such a vast experience in this job that many things that we still can't measure today, he knows because he's in the job. Listen to those people. Listen to the old people in a specific sport and dissect what they are saying. And based on this, you can find your own truth or your own values and work up to them.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Quirin, if people have questions about analytics and want to reach out to you, how do they reach you?
Normally not, because I don't share my stuff. How can you reach me? If you want, I can give you the email address, or you find me on LinkedIn. The chances that I respond to a LinkedIn is small, though. To be honest, like I'm not I think many people know this. Like now you have WhatsApp, you have Instagram, you have LinkedIn, you have emails. Like there are so many different channels of communicating. And if you work in pro sports, you work a lot.
Yeah.
Then I have family next to it, so it's hard to get into those communications. But I would say LinkedIn, or if someone is really interested, reach out to you, and then you give my contact details. I think that's the easiest. If someone really listens to the podcast and he wants to know more, or I don't know, wants to have a talk or a chat, yeah, for sure. I'm always there to help. Yes, I'm always there to help, but try contact Michi to get the details. I think that's fair. If not, try LinkedIn or something else.
Yeah. That's sounds like a good plan. You can also find me on LinkedIn. So you can reach out to me as well, and then I will bring you in touch. But please prepare a good question. Quirin, thank you very much for joining us. To all the listeners, if you know a great coach who's doing great things, winning games, and doing it with sports data and analytics, we want to hear about them. We may ask them to be a future guest on the podcast, and then producing a nice episode like we have produced today. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at KINEXON Sports, or look for us on LinkedIn at KINEXON Sports and Media. Remember, we want you to innovate the game by collecting the data, getting those insights, and turning those insights into action. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.